Nobody told me becoming self-employed would look like this. The 6 predictable stages every self-employed broker goes through. So, stage 1, everybody gets excited about becoming self-employed, and why not? You should do. But very few people prepare properly. So, let's move on to stage 2, the first 90 days. And these 90 days matter more than people realise. So, let's have a look at the next stage. Stage 3, the wall. You've got sales progression. You're busier than you've ever been. But strangely, it feels like you're earning less than you expected. This is take 1, and the video is nobody told me becoming self-employed would look like this. So let's get into the video. Nobody told me becoming self-employed would look like this. The 6 predictable stages every self-employed broker goes through. Recently, I've been building a 6-part webinar series called From Broker to Business Owner. And the idea was simple, really. Help self-employed brokers avoid some of the mistakes that almost everybody, well, all of us made when we started out. But while I was putting it together, something struck me. The journey isn't just random. Everybody thinks they've got a very personal journey, but actually it's incredibly predictable. Almost everybody goes through the same stages. The timings might be slightly different, the details might be different, but the journey is remarkably similar. So I thought I'd share those stages with you. Maybe you'll recognise exactly where you are at the moment. So, stage 1. This is a really important stage and quite often overlooked. It's actually the 90 days before you start, the preparation that you need to put in place to be ready to go self-employed. This is probably the most underestimated stage. Everybody gets excited about becoming self-employed, and why not? You should do. But very few people prepare properly. They think about things like logos, branding, business cards, social media, but the real preparation is much less exciting, I'm afraid. It's about making sure that cash flow is going to be okay, pipeline, systems, support, marketing, and really importantly, those daily routines. What I would talk about is having my perfect week and knowing exactly what success looks like for me. The first 90 days don't start when you leave your job. They start 90 days before you leave. So let's move on to stage 2. The first 90 days. And these 90 days matter more than people realise, because this is where habits are formed, standards are created, reputation starts to build, and routine develops. Are you building habits that will serve you well in the next 9 to 10 years? Or are you simply reacting every day? The first 90 days often set the standard for the next 9 to 10 years. In this first 90 days, this is really important to get into routines. What most people find at this stage is actually they have lots of time. That goes later. But at this moment in time, you have lots of time to do the really important jobs, not the urgent jobs, the important jobs. So let's have a look at the next stage. Stage 3, the wall. I've heard it called different things, to be honest with you. I've heard it, well, in EXP world, it's quite often called the wall. I've heard some people refer to it as the dip. I think it was Alex Hormozy who described it as the valley of despair. So all business owners go through this part. This is where most people struggle. And that's because you've started to get instructions, you've got properties on the market, you've even got sales. So now you've got all these other jobs, you've got sellers to look after, properties, to viewings to do. You've got sales progression. You're busier than you've ever been. But strangely, it feels like you're earning less than you expected. Everything suddenly feels harder. This is the wall. The biggest mistake: people stop doing the things that create tomorrow's income. Instead, they spend all day dealing with today's problems. This is where tasks become urgent, so you feel you need to do them, but not all those tasks are of equal importance. I always ask, what have you done today to win your next market appraisal? Not what sales chasing have you done, not how many emails have you answered. What have you done today to create the next month's income? It's really important through this stage that you trust the process. Stick to the basics. Don't let urgent replace important. It's also important to consider this is where most people leave. This is the hardest part. Because of the way our business works and that dreaded 19 weeks from sale agreed through to completion means that there's no income coming down. There's no end in sight. So lots of people at this stage start to doubt themselves and start to give in. So hence why you really just need to trust the process and get through the other side of this. What's probably really important to understand is everybody goes through this. So you've just actually reached the next stage. Stage 4. You realise you haven't built a business yet. This is a huge penny drop moment. Most people become self-employed, looking for a bit of freedom, hoping to earn more money. Then one day they realise, if I stop, everything stops. No holidays, no sick days, no income when I'm not working. You've escaped employment, but you've accidentally built yourself another job. A good question at this point is, what sort of business are you actually trying to build? Stage 5, leverage. This is where thinking changes. A team doesn't necessarily mean employees. It might mean a VA, a photographer, a mortgage broker, sales progressor, any form of contractor. Someone who takes work off your plate. It's really important to understand here, the goal isn't to employ people. The goal is to create more capability. Because every task that someone else can do creates time for you to do the things that only you can do. Stage 6, legacy. This is the stage people often don't think about until much later on, which is understandable. You're busy, you've got lots of things going on. And people often talk about rev share because of the EXP model. But I think most of the brokers now offer some sort of rev share if you take on the recruitment for them. But it's not just about rev share. This is about building equity or creating reoccurring income or building a business someone else could actually buy, creating income that isn't directly linked to today's activities. With the rev share, not everybody wants to recruit. In fact, most brokers never will. That's perfectly okay. Rev share is just one simple example. So one of the big questions here is, what are you building that will still have value in 10 years' time? Because one day you'll stop selling houses. So does that mean that your income stops as well? What really struck me while creating this webinar series was this. Every stage feels difficult when you're in it. Every stage feels unique. But actually, there's a remarkably predictable. The wall isn't failure. It's just a stage. Realising you've built yourself another job isn't a failure. It's just all part of the stages. Needing help isn't failure. Thinking about legacy isn't something you do when you're successful. It's something you should start thinking about much earlier. This is why I called the series From Broker to Business Owner, because There's different things. Being self-employed means working for yourself. Being a business owner means building something that works beyond just you. That's the shift. That's the journey. All those years ago when I started out on my kitchen table, nobody told me becoming self-employed would look like this. I thought I'd work hard, earn money, and have more freedom, and everything else would just happen. The reality is really different. The journey was harder, but it was also far more rewarding. If you're somewhere on that journey today, take a step back and ask yourself one question. Which stage am I in right now? Because once you know where you are, it's much easier to work out what you need to do next.